our speaker today currently serves as the Sultan of Systems of the PAST Foundation, tasked with expanding design and implementation of existing brands and extending PAST's mission in 29 states and around Ohio. I am so excited to introduce to you an amazing human being with amazing ideas to speak with us today about a meaningful topic to us Rotarians, mentorship. He is here to speak with us about why mentorship is the next horizon, why it is the next horizon in education, how mentorship and learning can be used to help people. Jim, take it away.
All right. Well, hello, and thank you all for allowing me to be with you today. I'm excited to join you on this first day of fall. We're all reminded that when fall comes, change is coming. Summer's ending, life is going to be going into a slower mode, and new lessons are going to be learned about how resilient we are, and the reminder that when spring comes and winter passes, it'll change again. So the whole point of this conversation I want to have with you today is to reframe what you think mentorship is and what mentorship can really do. I'll give you my concept of what mentorship is from my 20 years of experience with it. And also, I'll give you the perspective of mentorship through my work with Invention Convention, which includes my work with Sherilyn and with Julie Shively, and with my work that I do with Columbus Schools and business and industry partners like yourselves around reframing how we teach and learn new things. COVID has really put this into stark contrast for us because traditionally, on the other time that I presented to Rotary, you were all in front of me, and that's no longer an option. So that is why I want to start this conversation out with, this is why mentorship matters, because right now, all of us are mentoring each other on what comes next. We don't know. There's no way to know. There is, though, the ability for us to build on networks, and that begins with the basic human skills. The human skills I'm discussing are the 5 that come to mind immediately: intelligence, empathy, creativity, curiosity, and the last and probably most important one is the sense to belong, the connection, the team building. All of those are of critical importance right now, especially because school has been disrupted. The whole idea of education as a paradigm in the world has been disrupted, and no one saw it coming. And I'm not going to lie, I'm proud of the fact that I've been working for 20 years for this moment, because I could see it coming. The system was fragile, it was partially artificial, and it was not adaptable. And so the question is, how do we make it adaptable? And how you make it adaptable is mentorship. And when I say the paradigm shift, I don't mean education's wrong or bad. It's just not being applied appropriately in this instance. And it can be applied so much more effectively if you teach to culture. I'll say that one more time. You must teach to culture. And when I say culture, I literally mean the DNA blueprint for the society you live in. This is a culture. I'm addressing a culture right now of concerned citizens with resources that want to make an impact in the world. That's a great mission statement. Every piece of work that you do is mentorship, whether you intend it or not. And that's the paradigm shift that I'm asking you all to consider today. I want you to make a distinction in your mind between passive mentorship and active mentorship. Most people only know about active mentorship. I'm your mentor, you are my mentee, I'm going to transfer knowledge to you. And that's that. And you'll be better, and you'll thank me, and we'll have a special relationship. And maybe I'm oversimplifying that, but on all the research I've done with large corporate clients and entire school systems, entire state school systems, that concept of active mentorship is alive and well in our culture collectively. United States and Ohio. Passive mentorship is more appropriate at this time because we don't know what's next. So if we open our minds to the idea that every interaction we have is a form of mentorship, it will really, really change the nature, flavor, and effectiveness of our connection. And it'll play on all 5 of those core human skills I mentioned at the beginning of my conversation with you. And especially on the idea, I want to harp, especially with you and the work that you do and the work that I do as a mentor and as an educator and as an agriculturalist and a futurist and a scientist. I want to focus on why the opportunity for mentorship is so valuable and necessary right now beyond the obvious. School is hybrid. We don't know if kids are going to be home. Parents are struggling to deal with this new paradigm of how am I going to teach my kid when traditionally it's been done by a school. The way you teach humans is, let me backtrack one thing. You can train humans, which is one thing. That's active mentorship. I'm training you to be something. Or you can allow humans to interact with you, show your vulnerability, your knowledge, and help them grow by allowing them to see the world that you see through their eyes. And the moment you take that leap of faith and allow someone else to learn what you want to teach at their level, you've created a connection and the ability for that person to show intelligence, creativity, empathy, compassion, and curiosity. And those things will never be programmed. And when I say program, I mean literally programmed into a machine. Sorry, I live in downtown Columbus, and that's traffic. I'm literally in downtown Columbus right now. But those things cannot be replicated by an artificial, dude, get some new tires, by artificial intelligence. What I just did right now could never be predicted by an algorithm. That's a fact. We are adaptive emotional engines as humans. And when we mentor, that's actually what we're activating. We're not activating knowledge centers. We're not activating hidden resources or allowing people to become something they're not. We're giving them grace to become what they already are but aren't aware of. And that's the paradigm shift I'm asking you to consider today. When I take on a young mentor or a young mentor comes to me, or any relationship that I am building with another person or collective persons, the very first thing I do is I look for who they are. I ask them questions that most of them can't answer because, one, they don't have enough self-knowledge or the ability to self-reflect, and two, no one's ever asked them who they are. They've told them, they've assumed, they've demanded. Humans don't like to be told who they are any more than we like to be told we're wrong or we like to be told we're useless. No one wants that. But in fact, a lot of the time, we are both those things. We are wrong. Sometimes we're useless. Sometimes we're trying to make a connection with someone that isn't going to work because that person cannot see the world the way that we see it. And that is the truth about mentorship. It is allowing someone else to see the world the way they need to see it with your guidance and input, but not the way you see it. It's never going to be that way. And if we reframe active mentorship to be passive mentorship and take every opportunity, no matter what, to assume for ourselves that we are being mentored, as well as being a mentorer, it will be so much more meaningful and powerful. And the stories and the relationships that will come out of it will reflect a culture that you created and you worked on. And so at this point, you might be wondering, well, what does this have to do with education? And the fact of the matter is, if we model adaptive, passive mentorship to our young people, they in turn will become automatic mentors. And that's what we're going to need. All of us are struggling with technology right now. All of us are struggling with this new paradigm in what our culture is and what COVID really means and what the long-term economic, social, political, and geographic impacts are going to be because of COVID-19. But kids aren't. They aren't. What kids need more of is them teaching each other. They need more opportunity for near-peer and peer-to-peer mentorship. And they need to be shown how to do that. And the best way to show any human anything is to do it, let them do it, watch them fail, and ask them why. Why did you fail? And the moment they see what they did, it fires neurons that will never be fired by memorization alone. This is a point of fact, a neurobiological reality. Our nerves, everyone likes to think of our nerves as wires. And there's nothing wrong with that. They are, in fact, wires at a 20,000 foot level, except that they connect together endlessly. And what we're doing when we mentor and we train people and teach them and allow them to fail and try again is we are double coating the neurons in our brains with a chemical, protein hormone called myelin. And the more myelin is on a neural network, the more rote that is. That's why the first time you get hit in the face with a tennis ball, the next time you duck, because your brain has a hardwired truth. That's going to hurt. And that's how we learn. So knowing how we learn is the first step in really leveraging mentorship. You have to understand there are no secondary fallback mentorship procedures. Humans all learn the same way. I want to repeat that again. Humans learn the same way. I don't care if you're in 14th century France. I don't care if you're in 21st century St. Louis. All humans, regardless of time, language, or culture, learn the same way. And they learn by watching others. We still read Homer because Homer had it right. Tell a great story. Allow the reader to see themselves in that story, and that story will matter. And that is mentorship in a nutshell. Telling someone what could possibly occur if they did this, allowing them to do it, and then asking them after, how do you feel about that? What did you learn about that? That's passive mentorship. And then when they tell you, you have to be strong, brave, and self-reflective enough to answer back, this is what I learned. I saw this in myself. I didn't realize that. And there's nothing more powerful than one human knowing they're seen by another human. And that's why this is the future of education, because the days of training people to be walking, eating, respirating computers that do manipulation of things are over. We can build those now. What we cannot build are emotional connectors. We cannot build a culture around automation if we do not have people that can make automation matter creatively, or creatively, I should say. It needs to matter to human. And so the lessons of Aesop, the lessons of Homer, the lessons of E. Milne, and the lessons of you every day, what you did on Saturday, that gorgeous video you shared, that's mentorship. Mentorship is an art. It is a relationship that you build between one entity and another based on commonality. And if you have nothing in common, you are not going to be mentoring. You're going to be talking. I know, because I understand your culture, we have something in common. We care. I have a hashtag I use all the time, Julie, Sherilyn, and everyone who knows me, Phil and Joanne will laugh when I say hashtag all about the children. I said it in English, in a hashtag, and in ASL. The more you can find opportunities to connect and make it about the person you're talking to, the more effective you're going to be. Our shared mission is making the world a better place by mentoring and helping children, young adults, become better people. And that's why I was so excited when Joanne came to me and asked me if I'd be interested in this, because you're an effective change agent. As a group, you're an amazing change agent. And I know you do mentorship, but I'm wondering, as I wrap this up, because there's not much more I can tell you, I'm wondering, Do you see the opportunity for passive mentorship moving forward for your organization? And secondly, what can I do to help? And what can you do to help me? How can we build a stronger connection here? How can we build a better opportunity to make your mission far more meaningful? Not that it isn't already, but everything can be better, and grow it. Grow it like a garden and nurture it and honor it and allow others that you're working with to know not only are they cared for, not only are they on your mind, but they're seen, and what they believe and what they do and what they aspire to matters, because that's what's going to be the change you want to see. When you create the change agents that you want to see by modeling that behavior in yourself, that's when amazing change happens. In my work with Invention Convention for the last 20 years, I've been a judge. And the first year I did it out of a sense of obligation, because someone said to me, oh, you need to do this because we need somebody. We need a body who can talk. Okay, so I did. And I was shocked. I was shocked by the passion. I was shocked by the intelligence. And by the way, it was Cheryl Lynn who asked me to do that. So I'm going to call you out. But I was shocked how much I learned about myself, because no one had ever asked me, a grown adult, no one had ever asked me what I thought about myself. No, and I'm picturing myself in the shoes of this child. Tell me about your invention. Tell me about who you are and why you did this. And they could totally tell me. They knew exactly who they were. And I was humiliated that I couldn't do the same. 29 years old, and I could not do the same. And at that moment, I became a passionate advocate for both invention and design thinking and mentorship, because I got schooled by a 7-year-old child that I should be better. And I can. And I am. Every day, I am better. I'll give this this talk to another group, and I'll change again, because I'm open to the idea that I'm good enough, but not yet done. And I have ideas and passions and knowledge to share, but I want it shared on the terms that the human I'm sharing it with can act on it in their way and change the world their way. And I don't need to judge their way. I actually hate that word. I'm not a judge at Invention Convention. I'm a student mentor, because, I mean, we need to judge, obviously, but I don't think kids need to know that we think they could be better. Kids need to know they think they can be better. And that is the shift in mentorship. It doesn't matter what we think. It matters what they walk away with. And that's what I wanted to present to you today. I don't know exactly how much time I have. I have other stories I can share, but I've been talking now for 18 minutes, and I have no idea what my mentees think.
So, Jim, I think we may have a few questions. I'm looking at the chat line and a few comments. So let's see if we can open up and hear what your mentees have to say. Hey, Ryan Love had a question. Does PAST provide access to underserved youth?
Absolutely. That is one of our most important missions. Every year we have a fundraiser where we raise thousands and thousands of dollars for scholarships for at-risk and free and reduced lunch students. That is my wheelhouse. I am a free and reduced lunch child. I grew up desperately poor. I relate to these kids. I grew up in foster care. Absolutely. It is paramount to our mission, because every child deserves the opportunity to be brilliant. And they don't need, I meant to mention this and I forgot. So thank you for that question. No one, and this is what I love about passive mentorship, no one needs permission to be fabulous. They do not need permission to be geniuses. They do not. They need the ability to know that they already are. And that, I believe, is the power of mentorship. You're not enabling anything. You're highlighting the innate truth of the human condition. All of us are capable of being as amazing as we want to be. What we don't know is that we already are. And you don't need permission to unlock that. You just need to say to the kid, to the adult, to whoever, do this. Go do it, and then get out of the way.
Hey, Jim, this was Ryan who asked the question. Thank you for that response. I'm with Big Brothers Big Sisters, so I'd love to talk to you a little bit further about how we can work together.
I would love that.
Hey, Chip, this is Ann. Could I pop
Absolutely.
in for just a second?
Go
So one of the things you guys would be wonderful for you to know is how responsive and how amazing, what an amazing job PASS did to pivot their offerings this year from partially virtual to all virtual, helping teachers learn how to teach remotely, taking their programs to camps this summer because they couldn't have their summer camps. The fundraiser that we had last year for the PASS Foundation, we raised over $100,000 so that any kid that couldn't afford to come to any of the PASS camps could do so for free. So they are amazing, creative, dynamic organization, and hopefully someday when we can be back in physical presence, we could actually have a Rotary meeting there and you could see this fabulous facility that we've built. So Jim, thanks for being with us today.
Oh, my pleasure, Ann. And I have to say, I sit on a lot of boards personally. You are hands down one of my favorite board members, Ann Ralston, because your passion is palpable and I can fuel a battery on it every damn time.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions for Jim? Raise a hand or speak up. Open your mic up and speak up.
This is Tom. I have a comment and not a question.
Sure.
I'm put in the chat box also. Thank you so much for this topic. And I'm just putting in, I want to recognize our fellow Columbus Rotarian, Cheryl Lynn. And what I want to share with you is some great memories of being able to work with her. And if you all recall, our club sponsored a Bridge the Gap Youth Inventor and Entrepreneur program. That after the kids went through the local convention, Columbus Rotarians and others mentored the youth to go on and refine their inventions, go to market, also go in for National Youth Inventor Awards. And we had, and I think in about 18 years, we had over 20 youth win National Youth Inventor Awards. 4 youth were in the National Inventor Hall of Fame. And also we had some kids that had their products on Amazon. And I just am saying, I want to celebrate Cheryl Lynn and your dedication to young people and your mentorship throughout your life. I just wanted to remind you all, and what a wonderful topic and great memory.
And I'll second that. I also hit my unmute button, Tom. So once again, great minds, we're thinking the same thing. And I will just remind everybody also, and Jim included, there already is a connection between Rotary and PASS and Jim Bruner, and it might need to take another form, and I'm sure it will. I look forward to that day because Tom and I built the original Bridge the Gap, and along with the Rotarians who mentored the kids were Hugo Trucks. Help me out, Tom. Many, ever so many. I'm old and tired, but the Rotarians that came as mentors also included non-mentors, of which one was Jim Bruner. And I always had a theory, actually, and I put it in practice. A theory is just a nice way to make it non-threatening. I would tell folks, I really don't care what kids invent. You're actually inventing inventors. And that means people of compassion and empathy and resilience and power and strength and love. And that's what we're talking about now, because if I say a name, you'll see Jim Bruner's eyes shut up. Kyle Urasich. And I bet you know exactly where Kyle is, and exactly what he's doing. And if everybody needs to also realize that it's a lifetime thing. Jim was Kyle's mentor, and I'm sure they know exactly where each other are and still visit right now today. So it's a really wonderful day. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Chip.
Thank you. If I can bring a brief addition, I don't remember who spoke at our club years ago, but he was talking about how do you build capacity, economic capacity in your local area or your state. And I remember there were 2 things they talked about. How many people are moving on with higher education, I think, in using their talent in that way. The other one is, how many inventions do you have? And how much new product and new inventions is coming out? And that are two key indicators. And what happens, it's about youth inventors. And they're the future. And it's going to be the mentorship, Jim, the message you're bringing us. I'm loving it. So from an economic point of view and our whole future, this is a great topic for many, many reasons. Thank you.
The gift is an amazing, amazing experience. It's literally inventors from around the world. And if you want to see what the future looks like, it really does look like gift. It's transcultural, and it ties the human experience together beautifully, because all these kids are mentoring each other literally in real time around the globe 24/7. And in this moment, you get to watch what the future could really look like if we took the opportunity to reframe mentorship as an always on passive experience. Every moment is a moment to change some person, something, some way of thinking about it, especially because it's not in the hands of, institutions anymore to train. And Tom raised a really good point about economics and that relationship between invention and economics. Someone is going to buy all the automation. Some corporation is going to buy all the automation. It doesn't matter. What matters is the human capital, those minds that will make that automation mean something other than what it was intended to mean. That is a human investment, and that is done by creating relationships and building minds to be responsive and adaptive and be able to recognize change and know it and reframe it when they see it. I'm a big advocate of hands-on learning and problem-based learning. That's why I love Invention Convention. That's why I love PAST. It literally is about solving problems and making problems relevant to kids, because that's when kids get interested. I'm assuming a lot of you have children, and you've all seen a kid work hours at something they cared about, getting through a level in a video game. Kids will focus. They believe in the problem. They will. Our job as the adults in the room is to give them problems that matter and support when they need it. The rest of the time, get out of the way. But trust them. Trust their genius. And they may be obsessed with Kim Kardashian. All of us were obsessed with strange things when we were young. But those connections, those myelin sheaths they're building in their brain, the last point I want to make, actually two, about mentorship is, one, you don't control it. The idea that you control mentorship is laughable, completely laughable. No one controls it. It is an animal on itself. And second, mentorship is unpredictable. You don't know when that's going to show back up. Humans are quantum engines. The potential you put in them can show up immediately, or it can show up down the line. Sherilyn and Julie can attest to that. You don't get to choose when mentorship matters, only that it does. And I shared a blog post I wrote on the PAST Foundation website about my experience in mentorship. It's called Mentorship, A Human Condition. And if you want a primer on everything I just talked about, it's in that blog post. Please feel free to read it, share it if you'd like, use it, get back to me and tell me, one, you're wrong, and this is why, or two, I'm right, I suspect I am, and you could be righter. But I'm always open to growth.
Jim, we appreciate all your passion and time today, and thanks for sharing your thoughts and feelings and your clear passion for the youth and innovation. And we hope to have you back soon. All right.
Well, thank you very much
for everybody participating today. Everyone have a great rest of your week. Good to see you. We are adjourned.